news from Condoleezza Rice. You will hate this. This month's massacre in Parkland, Florida, seems like a key moment in the nation's ongoing debate about the Second Amendment, former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice said during a radio interview Friday, Fox News reports. I think it is time to have a conversation about what the right to bear arms means in the modern world. I don't understand why civilians need to have access to military weapons. We wouldn't say you can go out and buy a tank. U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Rice specifically targeted AR-15s and AG-style firearms. She believes these are military-grade weapons that can slaughter billions of innocent victims. Rice did not stop with simply abolishing the Second Amendment, she wants the First Amendment abolished as well. We can't throw away the Second Amendment and keep the First. Condoleezza Rice, former U.S. Secretary of State. When asked about arming teachers in classrooms to protect students from active shooters, Rice responded with about the dumbest response I have heard yet. I don't really like the idea, frankly, of a gun in my classroom. I do not think that is the answer. Rather, I support looking to law enforcement and guards as ways for protection. How can the U.S. Secretary of State ignore the facts? Someone should have told her that 5 deputy sheriffs hid outside as the shooter was in the high school, as reported by AFF News. In today's society, we the people have either forgotten or allowed themselves to be lied to about the Second Amendment. It is vital that we educate and remind people the truth and blunt facts about our freedoms and a Bill of Rights that was created to protect freedom and free agency. As passed by the Congress, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. Per the Constitution Law Center. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution protects the right of the individual to keep and bear arms. The right to arm oneself is viewed as a personal liberty to deter undemocratic or oppressive governing bodies from forming and to repel impending invasions. Furthermore, the right to bear arms was instituted within the Bill of Rights to suppress insurrection, participate and uphold the law, enable the citizens of the United States to organize a militia, and to facilitate the natural right to self-defense. The Second Amendment was developed as a result of the tyrannous rule of the British Parliament. Colonists were often oppressed and forced to pay unjust taxes at the hand of the unruly Parliament. As a result, the American people yearned for an amendment that would guarantee them the right to bear arms and protect themselves against similar situations. The Second Amendment was drafted to provide for the common defense and the general welfare of the United States citizens through the ability to raise and support militias and protection against a tyrannical government. Blunt truth, this means that the government cannot, under any circumstance, change or ratify the Second Amendment. To attempt to do so, by laws of the Constitution and Bill of Rights, is an act of treason against the American people and the very reason the Second Amendment was created. The libs and Democrats argue that the language used during the creation of the Second Amendment is confusing and does not apply to modern-day times in the United States. The Second Amendment is not confusing, it is blunt and direct, written so it cannot be attacked by the government. Therefore, it is the duty of we the people to not only protect our Second Amendment but to enforce the rights provided and to stand as a barrier against those who desire to remove our freedoms. The NRA does its best to educate and protect the rights of United States citizens to keep and bear firearms. However, it is each and every American's duty to be educated and trained on firearm ethics, safety as well as our firearm rights against those whose desire is to destroy the Bill of Rights. A discussion I am having against one of the very people who desires to destroy the Second Amendment and remove all firearms from citizens in the United States, on my Facebook page. Steve, almost every other country in the world has discovered that taking away the guns from as many people as possible, seems to save many lives. We are trying to help you, we in the rest of the world are very concerned. We have nothing to gain from all your dead teenagers. Your facts are wrong in blunt truth. Other nations that have removed firearms from citizens, has experienced genocide from governments, a huge rise in crime against citizens as well as a huge black market of firearms to criminals. One just needs to look at Chicago to see that these safe places do not work and prove that all it does is create victims for the criminals. You say firearms are the cause of so many deaths? When in fact, teens driving kill more people every year, teen suicide, obesity, Narcotics and even knives kill more people every year than firearms. Opioids are destroying our youth and communities. Synthetic drugs are being sold in stores and gas stations all over the U.S. to our youth. Legally sold simply because they put, "not for human consumption" on the package. You need to stop believing what your masters tell you and open your eyes to the truth and the real issues that plague our nation. You will never be able to take away a person's right to arm and protect themselves. Their mentality that if you remove the deadly weapons from the people, then these evil people will not be able to carry out their deadly desires and therefore will become good people. That is the dumbest ideology and proves with zero doubt that these people have a view on reality that is actually dangerous to every citizen on this planet. A human being that desires to hurt another, will do so with zero regard to laws and will use whatever they choose to carry out their evil intent. To believe otherwise is foolish and creates an environment that produces nothing but victims for the criminals. I encourage each of you to come to my Facebook page and take part in the discussions and